Big Fani Willis, also known as the biggest DA in Georgia, which is why we call her Big Fani, she has been found to have been funneling Trump prosecution cash to her former mentor. And it's a lot of money. We're talking six figures, probably going to be $1 million by the time we get to it. But the gentleman's name is Nathan Wade. He's a special prosecutor, not a government employee. We know that Fani runs Fulton County, the DA's office. Lots of prosecutors, lots of other people that she could hire who are already on the government payroll, getting a government salary, stuff that's already been accounted for. But she chose not to do that. No, instead, she's funneling this over to this guy, Nathan Wade, and it's hundreds of thousands of dollars. And we've got two articles to try to piece together what's happening here. But we're tipped off on this from Representative Jim Jordan. He says, you know, Fani is reportedly outsourcing work to private lawyers who make hundreds of thousands of taxpayer dollars, all in an attempt to take down Trump. Story from the Washington Examiner, and they talked to a local Georgia attorney. They said, this is certainly unorthodox what's happening here. Questions about this. Why is Fulton County DA Big Fani, why is she paying massive sums to private attorneys for their services? Good question. Well, Nathan Wade is Willis's lead prosecutor in the case, and guess what? He's raked in more than $500,000. Woo! And that's in it's about a year and a half, January 2022 to August 2023. So what we would see, this will continue on. And now this is according to payment history. So it's good money. It's good money. That's just one case. Okay. And this guy's a defense attorney also. So Christopher Campbell, who's Wade's other colleague at Wade and Campbell, he's been paid $116,000 from April 21 to 2023. And Terrence, another guy, got paid $74,000 from May to June 2022. That's a lot of money, man, for some advice to Big Fani's office. Let's see what else is going on here. Now, Wade, the person who got that big lion's share of it, over $500,000, Wade is a defense attorney who can bill by the hour. And, you know, this is sometimes common, sometimes not common. It depends on the type of lawyer you're looking for. It depends on the jurisdiction, like what state you're in. But when I was representing clients, we charge flat fees. We didn't charge by the hour. It's for criminal defense work. So we would just charge a flat fee. If it's a DUI, you charge this. If it is a class 2 felony for whatever the type of crime it was, you charge that. And it's a flat fee so it doesn't go up or down. Because the last thing you want to do is start billing somebody and say, well, you can't pay for this bill. We're done with your case. Good luck. You know, we can't represent you anymore because you can't pay your bill. Like the court's not going to let you off the case because they can't pay their fee. So that's how you structure it. There are other instances where you might want to bill by the hour. If it's kind of an open-ended case or if it's a very high profile case, you might do something like that. But this doesn't seem like it is the standard in Georgia. Now, they say that Wade was handpicked by Willis 2 years ago. I wonder what happened. Where'd he come from? Now, he was set to serve as a special prosecutor in the Trump case. He is a former Cobb County fill-in municipal court judge who ran for the Superior Court, going from a city level court into a county level court. He was a judge, tried to move up, as it were, and was defeated. 2012, 2014, 2016. Willis chose Wade over career prosecutors who otherwise work on salaries. And while the legalities of that have not been questioned, like no doubt she can do this, right? Some, like Phil Holloway, who's an Atlanta-based attorney for more than 2 decades, he said, this is a little bit unorthodox, quote, it's certainly unorthodox, and it appears to be a cash cow for any lawyer paid by the hour. Yeah, totally. They're just sitting there. They're like just racking it up. They're at dinner. What do you think of the Trump case? I don't know, but that's legal research. We should definitely write that down. Probably want to write this bill off too. Add it all up. He says, Holloway in Georgia says, I've been practicing criminal law in Georgia for 24 years, and I've never seen such an arraignment. It's like just the candy store is open and the kids are just going hog wild. Willis, who began investigating Trump in 2021, indicted Trump, which we know all about. We know that Schaffer, we talked about this story, one of the co-defendants actually got a solicitation from Nathan Wade. And we did a full video on this. If you missed this, certainly go back and look this one up. But Nathan Wade sent a solicitation, the lawyer, he's normally a criminal defense lawyer. He's doing special prosecution now because Big Fani's paying him $500,000 to do it. And he is sending solicitations to people he's prosecuting, which is obviously a major conflict of interest and just a pretty reprehensible thing to do. He's like sending a defendant who he's charged with a crime. I can help you get free. I'm a great lawyer. The prosecutor is sending you insulting letters like this. David Schaffer, impersonating a public officer. Hire my law firm, the same law firm that's prosecuting you. Maybe he does hire them and say, are you threatening me? Are you going to put me in prison if I don't hire you? You can see how you might misinterpret this. But this is something that was sent. Now, Willis did not respond to any questions, any responses to requests for comment on this. Other people have found these payments troubling, particularly what others have described to be a massive backlog of cases. A person familiar with the DA's office told the Examiner that he believed the payments to Wade and others were not getting the play that it should in the media. Why is someone who is already on the government payroll not handling this? There are many other prosecutors. They could easily go get another Attorney General's office prosecutor. If Fani's office needs somebody because of a conflict or they need external resources, there's tons of other prosecutors. The person who otherwise spoke highly of Willis and called her smart as hell said that the use of Wade doesn't feel right and that these are the taxpayers that are footing this. Very strange. Willis brought Wade on only months after several other candidates turned her down. The outlet did not specify which she attempted to bring on, noting that Wade was an old friend of Willis's. Okay, Wade was a, quote, old friend of Willis's. Wade also mentored Willis when she briefly served as the magistrate judge in South Fulton. So she was also a judge at one point, and there's more from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. This was a story on the solicitation that was sent to David Schaffer. But here, Wade has been a top deputy, this guy who's got paid $500,000. Wade has been a top deputy to Fani Willis since last year. Prior to this, he led the DA's presentations, so he actually did some work on this. He led the DA's presentations to a 23-member special grand jury and spent nearly 8 months hearing witness testimony and collecting other evidence for Willis. So he got paid $500,000, his law firm probably $700,000 for doing some of this work. On Wednesday, he argued on behalf of the DA's office before the judge. He was a former judge in Cobb County. They say Wade is an old friend of Willis who mentored her. Before serving as a special prosecutor, Wade advised Willis after she was elected and began staffing up her department. All right, so Wade is like her mentor. She got elected and he says, hire all these people. So she brought him back in. And when this story was written, over $500,000 since January 2022. So a lot of money being funneled from Big Fani's office to some of her mentors, some of her friends as the prosecution continues. And boy, they did a lot of prosecuting. In fact, some of their prosecution looks like it's a little bit nuts because when we take a look at the full grand jury proceeding, we see that a bunch of people got charged or recommended for indictment that were never indicted. So why did the grand jury want to indict all of these people? Why did Big Fani decline to indict them if she is really interested in solving all of this Democratic corruption? The grand jury said a bunch of people should have been charged. They weren't charged. Is she an insurrectionist now? Let's see what this says. This is the order entering special purpose grand jury, the final report into the record. And so the judge finally said, all right, this is where we get some more information that we hadn't previously seen, filed out of Fulton County in the state of Georgia. Now here's the exhibit, and they tell us that the grand jury was impaneled here. This is what led to the Big Fani charges. We had 26 Fulton County residents and alternates. We were supposed to investigate specific facts, different things around the 2020 elections. We got evidence, and this is what Nathan Wade is working on this entire time, 75 witnesses, majority of which were delivered in person and under oath. We had a district attorneys involved and everybody. The following is the report from the grand jury. We set forth for the court our recommendations on indictments. You're going to see different columns, yay, nay, and abstain. And we're going to see a bunch of different people listed. The grand jury heard extensive testimony on fraud from poll workers, investigators, technical experts, and so on. And here is what they are concluding. We find by a unanimous vote that no widespread took place that could result in the overturning of the election. Okay, that's that key catchphrase that is just scripted and everywhere. And this was that phrase that we kept hearing would move. Okay, remember that they said, you need all of these parts. They said there was no fraud. And we said, okay, there's clearly fraud all over the place. They said, okay, well, there's no widespread fraud. And they said, okay, we said yes, there is. There's widespread fraud all over the place. They said, okay, you're right. There was fraud. Now there was widespread fraud. But there was no widespread fraud that could result in the overturning of the election. And then that's where they hung their third hat on. And that they found that was found in no court of law, right? Even though that question was not asked in most of the cases in the courts of law. But that's the same. They copy and pasted that right out of Liz Cheney's notebook. With respect to January 2nd, they're coming to their conclusions. Phone call from President Trump to Raffensperger they find the following individuals. Trump committed the following crimes, right? This is what the report says. 21 people, yay, yay, yay. 18, yeah. No, we got abstentions on this charge, whatever they are. I don't know what all the statutes are. But we have one guy who's voting no across the board, all right? One holdout on the grand jury on that one. They also seek Cleta Mitchell, and you see same type of thing here. Now, Trump and Giuliani get charged here, 17-1, with various charges. And then this is in section 3 about the Georgia legislature State Farm Arena video. And they're seeking indictments against 21 people. We know there were only 19 co-defendants in here. So some people were not charged. Asking questions about Ruby Freeman. They want these people indicted. And then we see this big long list here of all of these other names. My goodness, big long list here. This one was about the Republican electors. They want 21 people indicted here. Bunch of names that we recognize. Some of these people were indicted, but not all of them. And as we continue on, we see the same pattern happening. Now, there's one big chunk of indictments that they recommend. Look at this one. We have, with respect to the national effort to overturn the election, we want 21 people here charged. This is coming out of Georgia conduct, Arizona, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. Anybody involved in the national effort to overturn 2020. Look at all these people. They said that people like, so these people were charged. We know Mark Meadows was charged, Jenna Ellis was charged, Trump was charged, Chesebro, Eastman, Giuliani. But look at these other names here. Michael Flynn. He hasn't been charged. 20 yeas, 1 no. Why did he not get charged? David Perdue. He was running for Senate. Kelly Loeffler, same thing. She was running for Senate. 17 yeas, 4 no's, 14 yeas, 6 no's. So it seems a little bit strange to me. I mean, if Big Fani is so ultra concerned about the RICO conspiracy and she trusts the grand jury, and the grand jury wants all of these other people indicted, including senators who are running for Senate in Georgia, why did she not indict them? That feels strange. The grand jury said that they were criminal, but she decided not to. Lynn Wood, also 20 yeas. And look, Lindsey Graham, another sitting United States senator, 13 yeas, 7 nays. They wanted to go after everybody, right? Take out every Republican who even thought about questioning the election. Look at all these names here, 30 people, okay? 30 people, and then, that's 30 people right there. And it goes on. So maybe another 30, actually, these were kind of splits. This was split here. So these, like, you might scratch out, all right? 9 yeas, 9 no's. So no on all of those. So I can see why they wouldn't charge those. But certainly these, 27 of these people, why were they not charged? There are only 19 co-defendants. A bunch of people didn't get charged. Weird. I wonder why that is. So in conclusion, we want to thank the hardworking staff. Any legal errors should not be laid at their feet. This report contained no election law. They used their best efforts, signed by the foreperson of the jury. So it's interesting. And Big Fani just decided not to charge all those people. And the question is why? And I think the question is because she knows that charging those people would be nuts. She's not charging Lindsey Graham and the other senators. So if it's insane to charge those people, like Lindsey Graham and the other senators and all of the people that were listed in there, why should we presume that the people who were indicted are legitimate indictees? We shouldn't. The grand jury was full of psychopaths, and we listened, well, not all of them. I can't say that about all of them. Maybe there was that one guy who was a nice person. Of course, he voted no on those. But the other lady was like very excited that they were going to like indict people, and she was kind of like nuts. And we listened to a bunch of videos of her, like a lot. And that was the group of people who were responsible for this. And Fani obviously exercised some discretion. She said, these people are all, obviously can't charge them, but decided that she could pick the people that she wanted to charge in order to make her case. So Lindsey Graham escapes some criminal indictment. He's very excited about that. But he gets asked about this. Are you still going to be supporting Trump now that you have not been Big Fanied like the rest of them?
You've hitched your wagon to Donald Trump and his party, and you've been pulled into this because you follow him. Are you still hitching your wagon to Donald Trump?
I think a lot of this efforts is try to marginalize Donald Trump as a political figure. But what I am trying to tell people that the election was contested by President Trump and others, and I had to vote. And I did my job to figure out what's best for me as a senator, how to vote, whether or not I should have a hearing. But there are many people in this country who believe the law has become a political weapon. We'll see what happens in these cases. At the end of the day, it's over for me. But what I do worry about is if this becomes the norm, then it's going to be very difficult for this country to move forward where you have county prosecutors that can then bring charges potentially bring charges
It's the new
against
America,
federal
Lindsay.
officials who are clearly doing their job. But one thing I want people to know, I am standing with President Trump.
All right.
I am proudly supporting him. He can be a handful at times, but I thought he was a good president. And I'm not going to be deterred campaigning for him and working with him. The legal process will move forward, and we'll see what happens in the courts, but we'll also see what's going to happen at the ballot box.
The courts are going to be a big problem. The ballot box is probably also going to be a big problem. We're going to have to work very hard to have overwhelming numbers, and of course, we're going to do that. But Graham says he's still supporting Trump, and I think he's right to be concerned about this. This is the new America. This is the new tactic. They started it. They did it 4 times, and they're just warming up, I think. So that's Graham. He's happy about this. Meanwhile, Rudy Giuliani is trying to get his case severed. We know that there is a trial scheduled in Big Fani's courtroom for October 23rd, and Rudy does not want to be a part of it. He submitted this motion for severance and a continuance. Short filing by Rudy. He says, comes now, the Rudy. And he says, my client was indicted on August 14th, 2023, along with 18 co-defendants in another indictment. This was scheduled for an arraignment on September 6th. Rudy pled not guilty, waived his arraignment. Prior to the arraignment, 2 other co-defendants we know well, Kenneth Chesebro and Sidney Powell, we've read their filings here, they want a speedy trial, and so the case is scheduled for October 23rd. The court set a scheduling order for both of them, Chesebro and Powell together. Currently, Rudy says defendant has received no notice from the court that his case will be tried on October 23rd, nor has he received a scheduling order for any pretrial matters in this case. Rudy has opted into discovery to get access to the evidence and filed preliminary challenges to the indictments pending against him. But Rudy has not filed for a speedy trial. Nonetheless, to the extent it is necessary, Rudy moves this court to sever him from the trial so that he can continue his trial date, postpone it further out. Rudy says, we've not received more than 2 terabytes of discovery, nor have we seen a complete list of the 150 witnesses in this case that they're going to call at trial. 150 witnesses. Oh my gosh. As such, Rudy is not and cannot be prepared to try this case on October 23rd. They're going to bring in 150 witnesses for Sidney Powell and Kenneth Chesebro. Upon receipt of discovery, they say that Rudy will be able to determine whether additional severance motions will be filed about the various counts with the remaining 16 co-defendants in the case. And so, Judge, separate us out, sever the case so that he can proceed on his own. We'll see if the judge does it. So far, the judge has not been severing. We'll see what the judge says. Big Fani sending tons of money to her friends. Rudy's still fighting his case, and the grand jury shows really how nuts this entire case is. Of course, my friends, we're going to continue to cover as this evolves. I hope you subscribe and join us as we do, because we'll be looking forward to seeing you on the next one.